What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. So this is a particular video that I think is going to get a lot of people upset and a lot of people thinking I'm way off base making this comparison. But I think that there are a lot of parallels there when you look at it. Now, Jackie Robinson was a great man who had to endure probably more stress, more pain, more burden, more of a responsibility than any black man in the history of this country, with the possible exception of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. So he's in a class by himself. He was a great man. And he had to endure, because he was the first one, so many different things that his predecessors didn't have to. And he had to put on a role, a face. Couldn't show his anger. Couldn't fight back. Because he didn't want to play into these negative stereotypes that the country had about black people at that time. So Jackie Robinson had to crawl in that aspect, where others after him were able to freely express their frustrations, voice their true feelings about things, was be able to react to Billy Martin fucking with him, react to this and that in the media, like Barry Bonds. You know what I mean? And they were still controversial for doing those things, but Billy Martin was beloved. Anyway, I mention these things to draw interesting parallels to Deion Sanders. I know many people feel a certain type of way about him leaving an HBCU to go to coach for a quote-unquote white school, right? But when you think about it, it's sort of, there's some similarities between him leaving an HBCU, which would be Jackie Robinson playing in the Negro Leagues, and then Deion going to this predominantly white school, and Jackie Robinson going to play in the majors. I mean, what do people say about Jackie Robinson who's going to the majors? He's in over his head. He just can't succeed at that level. We know that black players just can't succeed going against white players. The game is too fast, it's too cerebral. He's going to embarrass himself. As that movie 42 put it, what did that manager tell him? You don't belong here, nigger. What do we hear people say about Deion? When he first took on the task of coaching Colorado. It's one thing to coach in HBCU, but to coach a major school, he's in over his head. He's going to fail. The situation is just too much for him. And it's privately, because you can't say these things publicly anymore, there's still this prevailing notion that black coaches can't be successful. Black coaches lack the mental acuity, lack the leadership skills to be great coaches. I mean, look how hard the media is on Doc Rivers. And one other thing that I'm always I don't understand about all the critics when it comes to Deion, right? What's one of the major things we criticize about sports and black coaches? That they always put black coaches in a situation where they don't succeed. They're always hiring. They either don't hire black coaches, only interview them just for the sake of saying they interviewed them with no intention of hiring them, or they put them in situations where they can't win. No talent, none of that around them. Just an impossible situation to perpetuate this myth that black coaches just can't coach. They can't be successful. So with Deion doing what he's doing, going to a program that only won one game last year, going to a program where they lost by an average of more than 29 points per game last year, I don't understand why there's all this anger toward him. Because he's proven that it doesn't matter what your skin color is. It matters about your qualifications as a coach. It matters about your passion. It matters how you tutelage young people. Not just the knowledge of the game. You know he has the knowledge of the game. And he's also proven that a great player can be a great coach, even if it's a rare quality in great players. Jackie Robinson had to go through the fire his first couple of years, especially his first year. There were death threats, threats against his wife, threats against teammates that stood up for him. Now it's 2023. We can't expect that, right? I mean, this is 60 years later, 70 years later almost, right? We can't expect that. But what are we seeing? We saw a Colorado State coach that supposedly put a bounty on one of his players, sent him in the hospital. We got an ignorant-ass social media influencer that's offering to put $20,000 to physically injure his kid. I think that there have been death threats towards Deion Sanders online, and his other kids. And Deion's getting death threats online. So have things really changed that fucking much? All in all, it's all because of really one thing, in my opinion. You can disagree with me, but in my opinion, the reason why a lot of people don't like what Deion is doing is because, and I'm just talking about certain people, not all in that group, but some of them don't like the idea of a black man being somebody that their kids can look up to as a leader, as a role model. No, they don't like that. They don't like that. That's why they love to portray a lot of people who are notable as scoundrels, as moral degenerates. Yeah, you can listen to their music, but they're not somebody that you can look up to. They're not someone you can, have qualities that you can look to as a great person to pattern yourself after. Some of them don't like that. And another sad reality of this situation is the ongoing myth, as I said before, that black coaches just can't do it on the big league level, on the major league level. They don't want to see Deion be able to lead white players as well as black players to the promised land. So there's a concerted effort to have a guy like him fail. They don't like his personality. Jackie Robinson was humble. He appeared to be humble. But Jackie Robinson had certain personality qualities that he had to keep hidden. He was very temperamental. He was very competitive. He didn't like to lose. And for what I can understand, he was a trash talker. But many of these things he had to hold to himself, keep to himself, because he had to be the model of a gentleman. Well, Deion understands that Jackie Robinson had to sacrifice so that others didn't. This ain't 1947 anymore. If Deion wants to be boastful, that's his right. He backs it up. See, people don't mind a person who brags a bit as long as they can back it up. Right? Muhammad Ali was a guy that bragged a lot, but he backed it up. Jackie Gleason, right? I know I'm going way into a whole nother field though, but Jackie Gleason was a guy that boasted and bragged about himself all the time. But at one point in time, he was Mr. Saturday Night. Mr. Saturday Night. Half the country tuned in to look at his TV, his television show in the 1950s. He backed it up with his talent. So people don't mind if you talk trash as long as you can back it up. So yeah, in these ways, I see a lot of similarities to Jackie Robinson. And I hope that Deion isn't the only one. That like Jackie, he's just the first in a long line of many coaches who are black or Mexican or Asian or whatever, who will break down this institution, this good old boy institution, where they feel like that only a certain type of coach can be successful. Only a certain type of coach can be a quote-unquote genius. Only one type of coach can be a strategizer. So that's my take on it. Tell me what you guys think. I know a lot of you ain't going to like this, but it is what it is.